If there's one thing that we all have done during our recent holidays or compulsory holidays is binge watch Netflix and Amazon Prime. So in my recent weekend that I got the opportunity to sleep and binge watch, I watched these episodes called Bad Boy Billionaires. And I thought that it's extremely important for you guys also to watch it. Not because it's a great entertainment, but I think it's a great piece of information and experience that all entrepreneurs here should watch. And this 40-45 minutes of an episode is actually showcasing the whole life of this billionaire that we are talking of. So let's first talk of the first bad boy, which is the king of good times. So when it comes to the name of Mr. Vijay Mallya, all we remember is colors and models and lifestyle and glamour, right? All this glamour actually came out of a need that he was pushed into. So there was a time which is main business. So he was a guy obviously born with silver spoon. Now he was born into a family which was already a very wealthy family. And to see that his father was a very low profile guy, is such a contrast to watch, especially for what Mr. Vijay Mallya is. Now the platform that he was already given, which was the liquor business, the government banned him from advertising. Now that's our first lesson. Don't always think that the government will follow you or will favor you for that matter. Most of the times, if you're trying to make it good, not only the government, the society would also ensure that they put maximum hurdles and blockages in your road, because it's just in our nature to not help people so much. And you have to close your ears and stop bothering about the society so much if you have to grow in your business and in life. So I think the first thing that this intelligent man did, that when the government banned them from advertising, they found surrogate advertising. Now that's a concept probably one of these intelligent guys only created. So he started launching other products, which included soda water for that matter. Now the water was carrying the brand called Kingfisher. So now when you are making the brand popular, not only the water was selling, but also the beer started selling more. Now the drink stopped being called a beer. It started being called Kingfisher. So, it became equivalent or synonym to that product. And I think that's one of the peak that any advertisement or campaign or any brand value can achieve. So now that's the first thing that we as business owners need to understand, that you will face a lot of difficulties from your society and government, but you always need to find a jugaad to ensure that you keep doing what you really want to do, but within all legal limits. Now, the second thing that I loved about this guy was that he was driven. He was so driven. So he was never tired. It was not that, okay, I have made my alcohol brand a great brand value, let me just stop and take rest. No, he was so driven. And I think if we can get about 20% of that drive, we will be sorted. But I'm sure many of you have more drive than that guy has. And so you have to be driven, because it is not just money which can drive a business. It has to be your passion to grow and to keep growing that drove that person. And so if you want to capture the inspiration ever, go ahead, watch this episode, because it is going to imbibe a lot of inspiration and drive in you. Now, the third thing that I loved about this story and life story of this gentleman, Mr. Vijay Mallya, is that he always had a backup strategy. It was like he always had a plan B. So while he was working on a plan A, he always had a plan B. And I think that's a very intelligent thing to do. Now, a lot of people have this philosophy that I will never have a plan B, because that basically means I'm ready for plan A to fail. But I really don't think so that's the case. Most of the times, your first plan will not work because it is an experiment. It's your second plan which comes up with more experience, and you know what mistakes you did, and hence the plan B is always ready. When the government didn't allow him to advertise, he started surrogate advertisement. When the alcohol brand couldn't be sold as alcohol, they started opening pubs. And obviously, if you own a pub, you are going to sell alcohol there. Imagine he changed the whole culture of Bangalore, and now people go to Bangalore to party. So he changed the culture. So there was always a backup strategy he had, and that is so interesting. And I think if all entrepreneurs and business owners can figure out a plan B for your expansions or for the next growth that you're planning to do or for the next factory that you're planning to set up, I think we all will be sorted because we know if things go bad, there is a plan B in place. So you should always work on two strategies and not just one strategy. Okay, now I know you will say that, hey, Swati, you're talking of a person who is, currently completely loaded with bank debt. He's not being able to pay his bank loans. He's not paid his employees. Why are you talking so good about him? I'm talking of his experience, and I think experience can teach too much to all of us. And only if we can share our life stories with each other, imagine the amount of learning we can have. So let's also talk about the mistakes that, as per me, this guy did, which if we are cautious about, I'm sure we can do far better than Mr. Mallya. So what was the first mistake that he did? A lot of people say going into aviation was wrong. I don't think so going into aviation was wrong. I think that was a great step that he took because that took his brand level to masses. Even people who were not drinking, even people who were not so-called millennials and who didn't know the pub culture started knowing about this brand because it was there on flights. It was there on so many advertisements. And obviously when Kingfisher was launched, I remember it became the talk of the town. When we used to travel, we used to ensure that we book Kingfisher flights because it's going to be a great experience. So the experience that he offered with that flight ticket was fabulous. And I think he changed the aviation industry altogether. So I would say going into aviation was a great step. What really went wrong was that he didn't understand that his car was losing control. Going into too many diversifications at one point of time altogether when you do not have your own money invested into it was wrong. So going into aviation, going into racing, all together at one go was not a great idea because even if one plan fails, all of your whole, you've expanded so much at one point of time, you don't know where your foot is going to land. So it's said before you put your second foot, ensure that your first foot is strong enough. And he started running without any of his steps being strong enough, and that's where he went wrong. Second, you need to control your shopping, and it doesn't goes with women only as per the jokes, it goes with men too. You have to control your shopping, even if it is about your business. If you think, okay, I have too much money or I'll take just some loan from the bank, let me buy this land, let me buy this house, let me buy this car, it may just fail. And this is what happened with this gentleman. So too much shopping at one point of time, too much expansion at one point of time is what stretched him too much, and then he didn't have sufficient to manage it. So before his businesses could generate any profits, he had already used up the accruals or profits for the next 10 or 15 years. And that is where he went wrong. And the third and the most important thing that I found in this episode was take care of your people. Your people includes your employees, including your stakeholders, including your key employees. All these are part of your universe. If you think that you are not going to take care of them when they have already been slogging for you all through, it is not going to work great. So you need to take care of your people. If you go and watch this episode, you will see that, the whole negative circle about Kingfisher and its brand started happening when its employees put his foot down that no, we are not going to work until unless you pay up. And actually to the most surprise, or actually to everyone's astonishment, he threw that birthday party. And I think that was actually salt on wounds of his employees. So when he had that money, and if you think you have that money, it may be that you will go through a rough patch, but always take care of people who have taken care of you. So always work and take care of your stakeholders, including your employees, because I think those are the people who put their life, their sweat, and at times also their blood to making your company what it is. So it's extremely important that you take care of your stakeholders, which is employees, which is your investors, which is your shareholders, because if you don't take care of them, they know how to be taken care of. So imagine if he had not thrown that birthday party and just paid up his employees. maybe he would not have come to this situation. Maybe his company was still running, maybe there was still money coming in, maybe there was still sales happening, and maybe he would have survived the storm. So only that tiny step could have helped him survive the storm, which he's struggling to survive right now. Now, if you still don't watch this episode, I've encouraged you enough to go ahead and watch this. It is not going to take too much of your time, but I can tell you it's a great treat for your brain because you're going to learn so much from his experience. And I think that's what counts for our business owners. So see you guys. Don't forget to tell me how did you like the episode. I'm Swati Singhania. See you guys.